Just when you think you've seen it all, people getting Darth Mauled left and right, a man exploding inside of a penis, The Boys Season 4 brings you what you never thought you needed. Jesus on ice skates. Hey, it's me, Real Slim Katie25, and here at Geek Gourmet, I'm going to talk about The Boys Season 4 3-episode premiere. So if you haven't watched it, go ahead and add this video to save later and come back once you've watched it, because we're going to get into it. Okay, let's start off. I'm just going to get through it. I'm going to assume you guys have already seen what's going on. I'm not going to recap it for you. I'm just going to talk about Sister Sage, or Sage. What an interesting character. I love the conversation or like the ideas that are happening of Homelander being like, oh my God, I like need somebody who will actually be like real with me. And then as soon as he finally feels that presence, he is so intimidated. And I'm so excited about what's building up there. Yeah, so we've seen strong women with Homelander in the past. He has some kind of like affinity for people who at least believe they are stronger than him. And I think he likes that, obviously. He needs a dommy mommy to keep going. And I kind of was wondering, is that where this is going with Sage? No. She just has some kind of thirst for power, which is so interesting. And I'm just really curious to see what's going to shake out there. The Boys loves introducing new characters and then killing them off at the end of the season. So my gut says don't get too attached to any of these newbies, Sage, Firecracker, Splinter. They already introduced and killed off in an awesome way, by the way. So that was very hilarious. Frenchie. Let's talk about it. As a queer person, I'm so mad I didn't ever think about Frenchie being gay. That's like these biases we need to unlearn. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And it makes so much sense. It's such an interesting conflict, too, to be like, wow, I'm really having feelings for this person and I accidentally murdered their whole family. And this is why I watch TV. Situations like this that I will never, ever experience. But it's really interesting to think about how somebody could react to that. Starlight, Firecracker, we've got some potential rivalry going on. And by potential, I mean full-fledged rivalry. Firecracker is out here continuing to fan the flame of the alt soup movement versus the Starlighters. This show, this season, I mean, this show has been political from season 1, episode 1, right? That's never, ever been a question on the table, but this show leans into the like Trumpism so hard of the alt-right versus the like alt-left almost, you know, and talking about what are the ethics of things that are not human, being in control of human life and what that has to deal with. I find that to be super, super interesting. We still have Newman, formerly known as the Man on the Inside, current Soup, continuing to conflagrate or collude, rather, with Soups in politics. And it's super interesting to see how backwards this is. I know that's how real politics is, sadly. Probably to an extent that none of us will ever know, because we're watching a television review of an Amazon Prime show on YouTube. If you're a politician watching this video, go ahead and drop a comment. I'd be shocked. So it's just really interesting to see everything that's going on with that. It really, really leans into this idea of political unrest. It's one of my favorite thing that's going on this season, right, is that we're seeing more of the like staging of these saves. And A-Train and A-Train's brother get into it and talk about how like none of the saves were ever real. So that really adds a question, because I know we've seen some real saves. We've seen Starlight save lives or run into things. I mean, hell, we've seen Huey try to be less than a bystander. So I know there's some validity to these things. And it just makes me wonder if all the way down, right, trickling down to all of these like souped up, souped up chemical babies were ever intended to actually save people, or if it was always this kind of like stunt work, plan ahead into the future type beat. So it's just really sad to see these intentions. This show like does make me very sad, because I'm like, oh, this world is horrible, but like how to live in this kind of world. But I'm like, wow, this show literally written as a direct reflection of our society as it stands. So it is a little sad. Just a little bit, a weensy teensy little bit sad. But it's so overshadowed by the incredible gore that I literally can't even find in the goriest of steampunk novels or splatterpunk novels, steampunk novels. I do like steampunk. Shout out to Steam Powered Giraffe, the steampunk robot band, who I would give my heart to see live. Anyways, getting back on track. The most interesting relationship, I think, or rather path forward, is Ryan. I think Ryan is what is going to be this season and the next season, right? He is the resolution. Whether Ryan can turn out to be a good person or whether he is doomed to repeat history, and like it will answer the question of, can soups truly be good? Whether that is my like hot take of, I think, how he turns out. That is what the show is ultimately saying about these kinds of things. And I think that's a question that we will not answer until the last episode of season 5. And it's super interesting because, like, not a character I would have expected to be my, like, highest, like, I am most invested in this character, but I totally am. Because he has the most interesting relationships. First of all, with Homelander. Second of all, with Butcher. With Butcher, it's this, like, longing of they both want a good relationship deep down, I think. And with Homelander, he's just continuing to repeat what he thinks it exists. I mean, he says so point blank too, of like, he is so obviously putting everything that he wants into Ryan, and doesn't even understand how to reciprocate emotion. His son crying on the couch because he accidentally killed someone, and he's just reiterating the idea that humans are playthings. How dare you even think about that? He's just incapable of even relating to emotion like that on a human level, which is so freaking brilliant. Man, also my heart was so warm when Butcher decided not to poison Ryan. I was gonna be pissed. I was gonna be so fucking pissed if he did. So, oh, Homelander. I also want to talk about the Deep. And more importantly, Ambrosius. The Deep's girlfriend, octopus girlfriend, who we've seen fuck before. But do you know who came to voice her? Tilda Swinton! Who would have thought in 1,000 years that Tilda Swinton would be playing an octopus that just gets fucked? It's a CG octopus. Like, it's crazy. Like, genuinely crazy. You know who else fuck shows up? Will Ferrell. Shock. I mean, it's not a shock, right? Like, he's a comedian. The show is produced by Seth Rogen. It's not like we're unfamiliar with getting really cool cameos, but god damn was that surprising. I was just like, what the fuck am I watching right now? I'm thinking it was an episode 2, but I was like shocked and gagged. But man, what I really want to talk about with you guys is the music of this show, and specifically the scene in episode 3 where we get the Vought on Ice incident. So, first of all, amazing setup for this scene. I love it's so hard to watch consistently the boys getting themselves into a situation where they think they're a step ahead and they never are. They're always getting tricked by the next person, or their information is correct but not fully correct, and they're like always caught in these sticky situations. It's part of what makes the show hard to watch, and part of why I just love it so much. Is because of that. That's the kind of show that I like. I like shows where I feel stressed. I feel involved. I'm immediately pulled in physically, chemically, emotionally, mentally. We are there, you know? And I think this show does that so well. So scenes like where Huey is literally in a fucking vent directly above, like, arguably 3 of the most powerful people on Earth. and a single drop of sweat. And then Homelander almost yoinks him. And then he accidentally, because of very quick thinking on Butcher's part, using, like a par can to blind him. And he accidentally just slashes in half whoever's playing Queen Maeve. Or wait, no, maybe it was another one of the actors. In Vaught on ice. Immediately, everybody's frantic, trying to get off of the ice as soon as possible. Woman's fingers get cut off. Josh, my brother, I know that is your worst fear of all time. You should not watch this scene. Incredible gore. Incredible. I think maybe that's part of why I love this show so much. Is because it keeps topping itself. And in terms of like digital effects, it is so impressive. If you've never watched Corridor Digital, if this is something that interests you, Corridor Digital does amazing videos on how these amazing graphic effects are detailed. I'm hoping they'll do one on The Boys Season 4. Who knows? A buddy can dream. But if you know me, you would know that I have a minor in musical theater. And this only comes into play so often when you're a barista, content creator, dog walker, haunted house builder, and stand-up comedian. So, just to talk about this really quick, okay? This song featured in this scene, Put the Christ Back in Christmas, was created by Christopher Leonard, who is mainly a composer and has scored amazing films like Dr. Dolittle 3. I'm sorry, I can't even like say that with a straight face. Dr. Dolittle 3, Camp Rock 2, and Lemonade Mouth. He's done other things, like a crazy amount of scoring. But he is mostly, if you don't know anything about him, you would know that he has done almost all of the original songwriting for The Boys as well. Including things like Rock My Kiss and License to Drive, the Supersonic songs, which are absolute bangers. Perfectly recreated boy band vibes, with just a hint of pedophilia, but absolute bangers. Full on bangers. Man, I think 2 years ago that just was like the only thing that was playing on repeat the whole summer. So, let's get into this song. If you're not familiar, this is sacrilegious. If you believe in religion, this could be conceived as slanderous, which is why I think it's so funny that to voice Homelander, they brought in Andrew Rannells, who originally played Elder Price in the original production of Book of Mormon, written by the creators of South Park. Completely sacrilegious in terms of Mormonism, and I guess just the whole show isn't a slander on Mormonism, it's a slander on organized religion in general. So I think it's so amazing that for a song like this, they brought in Andrew Rannells. I'm sure they were like, you're not gonna have a problem with this, are you? Also featured on the song is Shoshana Bean, very famous Broadway actress, most well known probably for her portrayal of Elphaba in Wicked. Fantastic voice. She shreds in this song. And also, last but not least, James Monroe Iglehart. And if you don't know this voice, you would recognize him as the genie in Aladdin for like ever. This is such an amazing trio of people and an awesome songwriter, but this song is hilarious. This song leans into the idea that Vought is no longer just selling like it's the ideas of soup, right? It's leaned fully into we are like full conservative to the point of they're not even debating like conservative politics anymore. They're just like parroting generally conservative views on other things like religion, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, that are not inherently political but have been crazily politicized by people, which is hilarious. I read this article about how The Boys is like becoming a parody of itself, but I think the further that it just leans into the satire, the more I enjoy it. My dad, shout out to the original Childo father, transparent himself, Todd Mark, mentioned that he is curious to see how many churches would listen to this song and actually think of it being like, wow, this is a banger, and like play it for Christmas this year. Because like, if you don't listen too hard for the lyrics, it just sounds like you are advocating for Jesus Christ. But the whole idea of it is that people feel like holidays have been watered down, that they can't express their own religious views anymore. There's this awesome line where James, as Jesus, says, "Whatever you do, just don't replace me with some bearded guy in a sleigh." It's something like that. It's so funny because, like, in my opinion, you know, I'm not even going to get into it. It's ridiculous. And that's the whole point, is what makes it so funny. Because who in their right mind would put Jesus on an ice show, regardless of your religious beliefs? Feels like a bad idea. A hilariously entertaining idea, indeed. But this song is just brilliant. I hope we continue to see Leonard's pulling beautiful pieces of pastiche. I mean, he really leans into true musical theater. This is an homage to everything wonderful and great. And I also want to shout out my favorite line in the season so far, when Homelander says something like, "What, you fucking non-binary socialist?" And I was just like, yeah, baby, that's me. Like, I'm everything Homelander hates, and that's how I want to live my life. I hope that's how you want to live your life. I will be streaming Put the Christ Back in Christmas over and over again until further notice. Because, like, it is just such a catchy song. Like, it's so catchy. It's so funny. It does exactly what it needs to do. Because, of course, the kind of people who would buy tickets to see Vaughn on Ice would love this song. It's not even winter. And to my understanding, it's not even cold out, which is probably my favorite part. Prepping so hard in advance for this holiday show, and then it just happens. Of course, they cover up this event with a whole fire, but anyways, I ramble. The Boys Season 4 is going to continue to be bangers. I'm sorry, it will be. And if not, I'm going to cry. And I'll record it, and I'll post it. But I don't think that's going to happen. So, anyways, drop your comments, predictions. My predictions are, I'm hoping things are gonna shake up with Ryan here. That's like my big investment in season 4. Predictions, things will not go well for pretty much anybody. Things with Frenchie are gonna like blow up in his face. I'm worried about Kimiko and her like delving into this like getting revenge on her predators kind of thing. Although she seems to always like escape pretty well. I mean, she's got these crazy healing powers, so she can kind of get out of a lot of things, which is awesome. The Deep, I flip-flop back and forth. Oh, I didn't even mention the craziest part, that Sister Sage lobotomizes herself to relax. What a life. So, we'll see. I don't have a lot of hope for any of the characters that they introduced this season, because again, I do feel like that's their tendency to like kill people off. I don't know. I'm a little nervous for Starlight. A little nervous for Huey. I mean, I'm a little nervous for everybody, but mostly I am worried that this season will be the end of how we know Billy Butcher. Because they've been teasing him going for a while now. And I just don't know how long they can realistically keep that up without it being like they drug out this death for like 2 seasons. So anyways, we will see. Will he see the redemption of Ryan? Will Homelander spill mommy milkies into his mouth as he passes away? I don't know. Will he choke on a cock? It could be anything. But drop in the comments below what you think your predictions are for the rest of the season. How did you feel about these first 3 episodes? Thanks for letting me ramble about this. And if you want to hear more, let me know. Give me a like, follow, share. Word of mouth is the best thing to do for helping small creators like us. So I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.